And welcome back to the Profile Pod. I'm your host, Double A, back for another spectacular interview here on the pod. Today, we have a very, very special guest, man. He hails across the pond, and I'm talking about the UK, baby. And he's here in a different time zone. We finally got a chance to get this thing going, considering the time zones, considering logistics and all that. And here we are, finally nailing it down. So, let me give me a few moments here before we introduce our guest. And again, this is the podcast that brings on individuals doing extraordinary things in life to inspire the human spirit. And this gentleman is doing just that and beyond. Like I said, this gentleman is doing big things. I want to thank everybody for showing love on Instagram, social media, YouTube, for the views, the likes, the comments, sharing. And I'm connecting with a lot of great people out there, man. So I want to continue to do that. And I just always wanted to mention showing love. So thank you, all of you, for doing that. And let's continue to build that community. Let's continue to connect. And that's why I'm here. So if you're looking to get yourself on an interview on the podcast here, the Profile Pod with yours truly, Double A, you want to promote something, you want to promote a business. Maybe you want to promote a short film or a single that you just released, or maybe you're a podcaster as well, or you have a super cool story to share. Contact me on Instagram on the direct message at the Profile Pod. You guys know the handle. So let's connect. Okay. So let's go ahead and get to brass tacks here. Like I said, this gentleman is from across the pond in the UK. And I believe it's about, I think they're 8 or 9 hours ahead of us. So here we are. And this gentleman is a writer, director, producer. He's a composer. He just does it all. And he does it all so well. And he's on the heels of, he's coming off the heels of his last couple projects, a short film called Keeley and another one called October Loner, which starred his dad. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Martin Daniels. What's up, Martin? How are you, brother?
Thanks for having us on the show, Andy. I really appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Oh no, welcome back. And I forgot to mention, this is your second time on the show here. So no, welcome back, man. And you've been busy, man.
It's because very busy. Always busy. Always just like doing something. So it's either films or it's music or it's both or it's scripts. It's just slaving over scripts all the time, or working a day job. one of those things,
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? And man, I like what you do, man. You do it so well, like I said, man, and it's so captivating what your content and your films, your music, Martin. But yeah, before we get into everything, man, I just this is your second time back, and I think it was a couple years ago, right?
It was, yeah, when I was promoting the ideologies, the human rights, the hip hop, all female hip hop album. We did. That was 2020. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
time, wasn't it? Around the lockdown, or around that time. So that murky time, 2 years ago. What
yeah,
we all through, but it's weird. It's gone really quick. Seems to have gone really quick.
It has. Yeah. I think you had another short film we were talking about. Lexi. What was the full title of that one?
House of Lexi.
House of Lexi.
And House of Lexi. Yeah, that come out kind of year before, but we started to get more recognition for the film that year. Even it kind of got in a film festival recently. So it shows you a film that's like 3 or 4 years old can still get into festivals. It's quite good, really, that can happen.
Yeah, making the rounds still, man. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it's still got legs. It's still got legs. That's the good thing. It's still people still talk about that film, so that's good. So, but I'd like to move on to new things. Obviously, as people do, you want to create something new and leave the old stuff behind and challenge yourself with something new.
Yeah, no doubt, Martin. No doubt. You also go by. I want to mention the MW Daniels, and
Yeah.
And I want to mention that so people understand that as an artist that you go by MW, but
Yeah.
definitely Martin, and
Yeah.
yeah, man, and
MW is there for a reason, for me not to get confused with another Martin Daniels, who's a famous magician. He's the son of a famous magician in this country, and he's a magician himself. And yeah, people get confused. I even got emails from people thinking I was this magician's son, you know. So that's, yeah, and to avoid confusion with people, and yeah, I put the MW, Martin William, yeah, and just use that. It's easier, and it kind of looks better than just having Martin Daniels. You
yeah,
know? So,
I hear you. Were they
yeah.
trying to send you money, Martin?
No, well, the funny thing is, there was a guy called Steve Davis who was a world champion snooker player from this country who won the world title many times, and I've known him for about 10 years. And I was on his show, um, one of my tracks, and then in the comments box, someone put Martin Daniels, they put son of, and Paul Daniels is a magician. So right after I saw that, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to just do MW. I can't be doing with all this Martin Daniels business. So that's why I changed it. So it's Steve Davis, the snooker player's fault that I changed it. So it's down to him. It's his fault.
No, I get it, man. I get it. It's
Yeah,
you got to do what you got to do sometimes, man. It's okay,
exactly,
What's
exactly.
that?
Exactly, yeah. You just
Yeah.
don't want confusion, and you always get some smart aleck in the comments, like, doing that. So I was thinking, to avoid all that rubbish, I'll just do MW, and it's just like, it's much easier for me to do that, and it looks much more important than I actually am anyway. I don't consider myself important, so but the name seems important, so that's good enough for me.
I hear you. No, hey,
Yeah.
it's I love that. I love that. MW Daniels. But hey,
MW,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, and by the way, you mentioned athletes and stuff like that. The World Cup debuted today, and I know the UK plays, or
Yeah,
England plays tomorrow, and the United States plays Wales.
yeah,
So that's pretty interesting. I
yeah.
don't know. I don't know if you're into the World Cup or football or soccer. But
Not really. I'm not. I do watch them, but I kind of, yeah, prefer if I watch football. Like lately, I watch the England women because they're just much better, and just women are just much better at football nowadays anyway than men. They're much more interesting to watch. The skill, there's kind of much more. They're on fire. The women's team, England women's team, are just on fire, and you can just straight away. They're just going for it. There's no slacking.
oh yeah,
But the men might prove me wrong. I may watch the game tomorrow and just I'm out of curiosity to see if the men are any good. But I don't know. If they get beat tomorrow, it would. The newspapers are just going to kind of tear them apart really the next morning. So you just never know. It's a lot of pressure, and Qatar's quite a volatile place, obviously with rules, the Middle East, and so it's a different set of rules, and yeah, it's a different thing entirely. So just have to see what happens. I just don't think they're going to win it, but there you go. If they do, then you can just check back and tell me that they won it. But yeah, England winning the World Cup for a second time nowadays, no, I don't think so. But there you go. I'm much more into kind of, I don't know. I like kind of snooker or martial arts or darts and things like that. I like that, or pool.
yeah,
Cricket. Even I like cricket more than football. And yeah, I much rather watch that. I just find it more interesting. So, but there you go. Football's all right at times.
yeah, yeah. I know it's big out there in England and
Massive, yeah,
the UK,
yeah. It's huge.
right?
Um,
Oh,
There's so much money in it. Unbelievable. It's like boxing. There's like a lot of money involved in it. So
yeah, yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. And
yeah,
and like I said, man, you've been you've been busy, Martin, man, and you just you had Keeley, your short film
yeah,
that came out this year,
yeah,
and you wrote, produced, directed.
yeah,
I mean, geez, you did everything, man, and it's starring Carrie Newton, the actress.
yeah,
Very
yeah,
controversial film, man, and I
yeah,
watched it, man. It's just very powerful, very gripping, suspenseful, Congratulations on that, man. And also, by the way, yes, earned an award at the Stafford Film Festival.
Yeah, kind of got like something there. Yeah, it was a difficult film because, I mean, like Nikolai does the camera on all my films, and he does the editing. And
Yes.
Denise, who's Oscar nominated, Denise is the sound recordist, and she's an old friend of mine. And she got nominated for an Oscar for the Kenneth Branagh film Belfast. So she was at the Oscars, like the Will Smith incident. So she was there watching that. So it was good to have someone who's part of kind of my crew, I suppose, there, and we consider it the little crew that we've got, you know. So and she's a genius, you know. For me, you know, she's one of the greatest, and she's you know, she's worked with some big Hollywood people, but she works with me because they're friends and she likes what I do and stuff like that. So, and big up Denise. She's amazing. But Nikolai is the same. He's a genius as well. You know, he makes all the magic happen. So, the camera editing, the sound, I don't do any of that. I do everything else apart from that. Yeah, but Keeley was difficult. Yeah, it was a difficult film to do. Very, very difficult, and it was a challenge. You know, 24 people pulled out of the film before production because of, you know, being controversial and they didn't want to get involved in it. So two makeup people pulled out, and we had two makeup people and 22 actors. 22 actors pulled out
Wow.
that we cast. Yeah, like no one wanted to do it. No one just had the kind of thing to do it. And then finally, we got the kind of the hardcore crew together that wanted to do it, you know, and we did it, and it was controversial, and I knew it was controversial when I wrote it, so I had a feeling straight away. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, "This is not going to go down well," you know.
Wow. Yeah.
Even
No.
my dad didn't like it. My dad likes all my films, but that one, he was like, "I don't think he liked that at all." You know, it just wasn't his thing. You know, so
If Martin, if you could elaborate on that a little bit, what talk about the film a little bit, some of the plot or the content.
I don't want to give too much away to anybody who hasn't seen it, but
Yeah.
so
Or you
Yeah,
know.
Keeley herself is like fighting against her dad who's Islamophobic, but he's, you know, and Keely's involved in Islamic terrorism. And it's more for kind of vengeance, you know, it's not necessarily a vengeance against the West, it's more vengeance against her father and, you know, the death of her brother and things like that. So it's like struggle, it's like her back's up against the wall. And you know, I could have wrote any backstory to Keeley. It could have been anything, but I wanted something strong. And if you're going to pick a strong subject and an interesting subject, and it's going to be something like radical Islam, so I thought that it was a good subject to pick. And I'd researched women in terrorism for the last 30 years anyway, but I've never really come across Islamic terrorist females until post 9/11. I don't think anybody really knew in the West much about that. You know, we were kind of in the dark, and unless you
Mhm.
really read the books heavily, like the books on female terrorism, which there wasn't much, but post 9/11, yeah, it was everywhere. So there was much more to find. So for me, it was a strong subject to to find. Yeah, but funny enough, I put it up on YouTube, and most of the people that have contacted me are Muslim women from the Middle East who love the film, who said it's like, you know, I'm kind of standing up for Muslim women. So it's kind of not necessarily that, and it is. It's, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I'm against anybody who's Islamophobic. You know, it's awful. The same as anybody who's homophobic. You know, I can't stand people like that. But I think that, um, you know, people thinking I'm standing up for somebody. I'm writing a story, and it's a kind of woman's story, and it's just surrounded by this extremity. You know, it could have been surrounded by her. I don't know, being a pottery expert. I don't know, but it's not. It's surrounded by terrorism. So it's people kind of misconstrue the film possibly and think, you know, I've just wrote about that for the sake of it, which I haven't. I've wrote about a woman going through struggle, and she just happens to go through that. But you know, when you watch the film, you can see she's a very unconfident terrorist. She's not confident. She's not sure she wants to go through with it. So I really
Mm.
wanted to push that. where she's, it's very emotional. She's not determined, enough to do it. And Lisa Leanne, who plays Zara in the film, is definitely the most hardcore. And then Victoria, in the film as well, who plays Imani, she's more hardcore than Keeley. So Keeley's like the third person out of the three women, and she's the most unsure one out of the three of them. But she's the one that they want to send in to go through with the attack. So
Yeah.
it's I wanted her to be unsure. I wanted her to be emotional, to have mixed feelings, and almost wanting to give it up at one point. So that's what it was. So it's a film about a kind of unsure, emotional female terrorist. If it was about that, So it was. So yeah. But I've had mixed views. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Some people say I shouldn't have made it. Some people say I should have made it. So you get all this kind of stuff. But me being me, I've got no cares for any of that. I just do what I want to do, and that's it. But it's not a film that's against Islam at all. It's not blasphemous. It goes completely the other way. And I think that's what people were worried about initially. Being like seen as a recruitment film for young girls to watch, because they think, oh, this looks cool. Women are doing this, but
Yeah.
it's not meant to be for that at all. It's just a film. At the end of the day, it's just a story that I've made up, and that's it. So, but yeah, so I was worried about those kind of things in the first place. But yeah, I'm very proud of it. They all put in really good performances, and I've got to say a shout out, if I can, here to my friend Victoria, who's in that film, because she had an accident a couple of days ago. She fell off a horse, and
Oh.
she got really, really badly injured. So I love her a
Oh.
lot. I hope she's okay.
Yeah.
But I think she's had an operation and stuff like that, so she's all right. But so yeah, she plays Imani in that film, and again, like all the other actors, she's amazing. So everybody was kind of positive about that film once they were doing it. It was cool on set. Everybody, I taught people some Arabic that I'd learned. I studied the Quran and stuff like that, and respect a lot of that. Respect the Quran and all that stuff. Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, I've always been interested in religion, even though I'm not a religious person. So I've always been interested and always have respect for people. People want to be into that. That is cool. So other than Christianity, which I thought was quite boring to write about, everybody's done that, and I just wanted to do something that was strong. Yeah, and that's why I did it. And it come out great. I'm really happy with it, and the soundtrack. It was cool. But I've had no one write to me, no one from Muslim world and be negative towards it. There's not been one person that's done that. Everybody that's wrote to me from the Muslim world has been completely positive about it. Like there's not been one person that's been negative. So I think that's a good achievement in that way.
Definitely, man. Any backlash from the Islamic community or anything like that?
None at all, none at all. I think because people don't see it as I'm not sort of going
Oh,
against anything. I'm quite neutral, and it's just a film. It speaks for itself. And there was a series called The Bodyguard that was on TV, not the Whitney Houston, of course. It was like a series about Islamic terrorism, but they did it in such a commercial, rubbish way. And I wanted to do something that was more real than what they did. And this is an award-winning program, what they did. And I was thinking, God, this is awful. I watched it for research, and it was, yeah. I got to the sixth episode, and I was thinking, it's rubbish. So I want to write something real, other than this. So that made me determined to write something, and that's why Keeley's there.
yeah. No. It's definitely a powerful film. And again, man, I mentioned it earlier,
Yeah.
Martin. Your style is so suspenseful, man. It grips you. It really holds your attention. It captivates you. You wait. You want to wait and see what happens. Like it seems like every moment, though. It's like you take us through this journey, man. Like it's very unique. It's very
Yeah.
unique, man. Because again, like it's not just this a scene here and there where it's gonna,
Yeah,
hold your attention. It's like, no, every moment. I don't. That's, hats off to you, man, for pulling that off. And
I
you
appreciate
know,
that.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And when you mentioned there were 24 cast and crew that left the project,
Yeah.
you know, talk about some of those challenges you had during that process when, you had some of these people leave, and
Yeah.
then you're having to were you having to scramble, or talk about that experience, man, and the challenges there.
Well, I didn't meet any of these people. I mean, I knew some of them. I'm not going to mention any names, but I knew a lot of them, and some of them are friends. But
Go
they
ahead, man. Go ahead. You
people
can.
pulled out for all different reasons, and I'm not going to mention their names. But
No,
people,
I'm kidding. I'm
I know,
kidding. I'm kidding.
but people
Go ahead.
pulled
Go ahead.
all different reasons. But I knew the reason. The main reason they pulled out is obviously the subject matter of the film, and I knew that. But I just, everybody. I mean, it wasn't like people gave me excuses. People did say that, but some people just weren't straight up and weren't like, "Hey, I can't do the film, because it's like can't get involved in this subject matter and stuff like that." But out of the 24 people, there was probably about 15 people that did that. The other few people, it was like, I didn't realize about it, or, there was a time difference. They were double booked. It was all this kind of stuff. And I was like, all right, okay. And you just got to kind of swallow it and go for it and be like, okay, no worries, and move on. Because there's no time to sort of dilly dally around. You literally got to get on the casting agency and start looking for your next person, because time was getting short and we were near to filming, so I had to get the cast finalized. And I expected people to pull out. There was meant to be four women, and one person pulled out like about a few weeks before, and so we just whittled it down to three women. And even me and Nikolai were talking about it, and he said, "Yeah, four women would be too many people, because having the three people as the main perpetrators, that's the film." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. You're totally right." So things kind of fell into place by chance. Someone pulled out, and just chance the three people, what the perpetrators, it worked. We didn't want to overcrowd the film, so we wanted to keep it quite minimal with people, and not have too many kind of perpetrators. We wanted just the three of them at the end of the day. So yeah, it worked out well, but no one's really pulled out. Someone pulled out of the film a couple of years ago because one of the scenes was too full on, and but apart from that, I've never had any problems. So, but 24 people is like kind of a bit much, really. It's like that's a lot of
Yeah.
people to pull out. So we decided to put it on the poster because we thought it would create a bit more interest, and it kind of did. People got really interested. There's like 24 people. What is this film like? It must be hideous. We want to see it. So it kind of reeled people in because everybody loves something controversial at
Oh
the end
yeah.
of the day. Because if you say to someone, "Oh, I'm doing a drama, but I'm doing a controversial drama, which one do you want to watch?" They're gonna want to watch the controversial drama first.
Yeah. Exactly, man.
So yeah, so that's exactly what it was like. But yeah, that's the way it is. People pull out, you got to get on with it and keep moving. So that's.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all
But
right.
like I said, man, I think it's a phenomenal film.
Thank
And
you. Got that.
oh, you're welcome, Martin. And I wasn't surprised, man. I've seen your work before, and
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be good and intriguing and phenomenal.
Yeah.
You didn't appear in the film, right? No, you didn't act in the film.
No, I haven't acted in a film for quite a while now. Like when we first started to do professional films, we did a film called Being Without, which did really, really well. And my hands in that film on the shoulder of Peter at the end of the film. So that's about as far as it gets. But I can't watch myself in a film. I think I spoil it. So for me, yeah, I stopped doing that years ago. I just wanted to concentrate on directing because it's a big task if you direct him properly. And I won an award for directing, which is actually quite amazing. Really, I was like, wow, are they watching the right film?
Congratulations.
But I was just tears. But it's like I think you're kind of learning the craft each time. You're learning new things, and it's all about confidence in front of people. And you've got to be straight up with people and tell people what you want straight off, and that's part of being a director, you know. And you've got to work it out almost mathematically. It's got to be worked out properly, but it's got to be worked out simplistically. It's, you know, as well. You can't kind of have it messy. Everything's got to be in certain straight lines, and people coming in from different angles, and it's almost like it's like choreography a little
Yeah.
bit. I found once I got really into it, it felt like that. So yeah, I kind of you're just always learning. I mean, we're halfway through a comedy drama at the moment, so it's the complete antithesis to what we did with Keeley doing comedy. So it's great to explore comedy, which is, you know, it's great, you know, but still it's kind of controversial even though it's a comedy. So yeah,
Wow.
there's still stuff in it that people be like would
Yeah,
probably, you know.
you like to push the envelope, Martin.
Yeah, I've done it a lot this year. I've got into a lot of trouble this year, even with the music, like extreme subject matters and albums, and yeah, I've like kind of had stuff banned this year. I've had two record labels not releasing my music because Bandcamp was going to take the label down. So you know, I've had all that stuff, and which is great. But any, you know, you're going to get all that. If you're going to put out something controversial, you're going to have to get all the stuff back. And I kind of like that. I think it's fun getting those sort of abusive messages. I delete them, but I think it's funny, you know. So for me, doesn't matter. I'm just interested. I'm just into what I'm doing. I don't really care if people are going to be nasty. I just look at it and think, who cares, you know? But I like kind of doing it. At the end of the day, I don't really pay attention to anybody's. I'm kind of like blank to all that stuff, you know. Once
Yeah.
you've had bad reviews and you just don't really care anymore, you just think, I was going to do it, you know. So I like that.
You know what, Martin? All that means is that
Mm-mm.
what you're doing is good, man.
Yeah,
You
Nick Cave said that. He said bad reviews are better than good reviews. It's better. I think someone said it's better when someone hates you than when they love you, because even when someone hates you, at least you know they're telling the truth. You know, other than when they say they love you, they could be like maybe, well, maybe not. But when someone said they don't like you, they don't like you. At least you know that's the truth, and it's like cool. At least we're straight up with each other. So for
Yeah,
me, yeah, when people don't like something, I mean, I'm more interested in that. You know, there was a writer called Arthur Machen, and a cult writer in the 1800s, and I think he'd done a book of his own bad reviews, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, who would do something like that? But a book of your bad press reviews and put them together, and because it's all constructive, everything's constructive, even if it's negative, you know, in that way when it comes to criticism about someone's art, you know. So I'm cool with all that. Whether people love it or hate it, that's fine by me.
yeah, yeah.
So
No, exactly, man. It's your, and I like that your conviction, man. I like your conviction is that you're doing what you want to do. You're telling the stories you want to tell, and
yeah,
nothing. No one's going to tell you differently. No one's going to. I
yeah.
think that's a fine example you're setting, man, because you're
I
sticking to your
appreciate
guns,
it.
man. You know, and that's what it's all
Yeah,
about. You want to tell your art. You're putting your art out there the way that you want to. I love that.
totally. Yeah, it was like that with the hip hop album, and you know, I couldn't see any albums that had all females on there that were all kind of speaking about certain issues that affected them, and I thought, okay, I want to make that album then, and that's what happened during lockdown, and it got made. It took a year, but it got made, and so I think these things, what you see, you watch films and think, oh, I wish there was a film like this, and you think, well, I'm just going to write it myself, and the same as at music, you know. So you just write the album that you dream about. You know, someone else is going to make, but they don't make it, so you think, I just make it myself, and it kind of gets like that. You've got your own vision and ideas to do that. So yeah, that's what I do really, and it always comes out nice. Like it's, you know, all the hard work, it's worth it. You know, it's worth it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And speaking of 2020, man, you also uh, published or you released October Loner
Yeah,
2020, and starring your dad, another short film
that's
starring your
right.
dad.
That's right.
And talk about October Loner. And you know what, the title got me, Martin, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because I was born in October, and
Okay.
my birthday's October 14th.
Right.
And I've always been kind of a loner, man. I love to spend time by myself.
Yeah.
I love to be by myself. I've gone on long vacations by myself.
Yeah.
I've always been that kind of dude, man.
Yeah.
Just kind of do my own thing,
Cool.
walk to the beat of my own drum.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I used to think something was wrong with me. You know, in my young years when I was in school age, 7, 8, 10 years old,
Yeah.
and into high school. And
Yeah.
then I realized, like, now, as a grown man, I'm thinking, no, I'm okay. I'm just who I am. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that about me. So the title, right away, I was like, October Loner. That's kind of describes me a little bit. So
Yeah.
talk about the film, man. It starred your dad. Why did you
Yeah.
pick your dad as the actor? And did he have any prior acting experience?
Um, he never had any prior acting experience. We did a film called The Isolation Horrors, which Nikolai Kornham, who I worked with, brought together during lockdown. And he said, well, if no one can do a film, why don't everybody record at home, send it to him, he'll edit it all into an anthology, like a horror anthology, which he did. And at that time, I was like, well, how am I going to film? He said, well, just get your iPad and film at home. Film your parents or your dad or mum. So that's exactly what I did. And I said to him, how am I going to make the music? Studio's not open because of lockdown. And he said, oh, you'll find a way, And I looked at GarageBand. I'd never used it before. So I spent, 16 hours a day for months, like kind of learning GarageBand. And it works. I got really into it. And that's what I use all the time now as a music tool. So I put the film together called Ghost in Isolation, which was the first one with my dad. And then second time I did October Loner, So, and I think he was more confident the second time around for that film. But we'd already done The Other Soul to Evie in 2020, and that won about 4 awards. That's the biggest film we've done that's won awards so far. Um, and that was about a woman whose brother has an accident and has like brain damage, and she has to kind of literally bring him up, and she dependent on alcohol because of that, and the dad wants to take the son away. So we did that film in February 2020. We did it 2 weeks before lockdown, and then once lockdown kicked in, did the anthology, then October Loner, which was a Halloweeny type of film. And yeah, it was like a guy who was literally on his own, a loner at home, Halloween, and couldn't really go out. And so he's kind of
Yeah.
like a prisoner in his own home. And obviously, if no one's seen the film, I don't want to give away what happens. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's kind of haunted, kind of by himself in a way in film. So we recorded that on a Saturday and Sunday, I think. And I did the music to it, sent it to Nikolai, and he edited it, put it together, and it won an award. It won an award at the Reale Film Festival in Italy. And
Yes.
I showed my dad. I was like, "Have you seen this? His film won an award," and he couldn't believe it. My dad was like astounded that something we could have filmed at home could win an award. It was only a 7-minute film, but I think he
Yeah.
was brilliant in it. I think he was astounding in it. And my friend Emma Dark, who's a horror actress, a famous horror actress, who is in House of Lexi, she really wants my dad to do more. She said I think he was great in those films, and so yeah, it's to do it's kind of like it didn't cost any money to do. It was just the iPad, my dad, and me doing some music, and I put the script together, and it worked. But the original idea was we had a film on the Saturday, but everything went wrong and we couldn't do it. And I rang Nikolai, and he said, "Look, get something together. You'll be able to do it." And I was like, "I haven't got a script. I don't know what to do." And that night, Saturday night, I wrote a script, and on the Sunday, I think we started filming. Me and my dad. So that's what happened. So it was done very, very quickly, but it was good. Hats off to my dad. He did really well in that film.
Absolutely. I
You know.
like again, man. I was at the edge of my seat, and it was like you said, not without giving too much away. It's really, you guys, ladies and gentlemen, go check that short film out. It's called, oh my god, October Loner,
Yeah.
and yeah, very well done, man. And what do you shoot with? What kind of camera do you shoot with, Martin?
Well, that's the second time I've shot a film. So normally Nikolai films it. Nikolai's a professional cameraman, so he films on like a Canon or something like that, and so he'll film on a professional, very expensive camera. But for me, that was the October Loner was the second time that I've filmed, and I've just used the iPad. What I'm talking to you on now, well, that's all I use. Just use the iPad and sent the files to Nick, and he put them together. So I sent them to him in sequence. So everything was like a storyboard. So everything run from start to end. Um, so yeah, I'd film again, iPhone, and I'd do it again maybe, but um, man, I don't think I could get. I'll never get as good as Nicola. I mean, this professional business. I mean, this guy's like serious. You've seen what he does. He's amazing.
Yeah,
So, but to film something with a steady hand, I can do that, like I did with those couple of films, and that's cool. I like to do it properly one day and get a proper camera.
I'd love to get him on an interview, man.
I thought he
Nikolai.
was here once, wasn't he on Profile Pod once a couple of years ago? I'm sure he said he was on there once.
No, no.
Really?
I we'll get him on. We'll get him on here.
Yeah, Denise as well. You should get Denise on the sound lady. She's just like, she's phenomenal, man. She's brilliant. So she's got so many stories. It's just unreal. The stories of Hollywood she's got are just amazing. So,
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
you, we've all kind of like that. We've all kind of got past and stuff. Mine's in bands, in music in the 80s. Nikolai worked with Lars von Trier, and Denise has worked with kind of Ridley Scott, and she's done Robin Hood or Russell Crowe. So she's done a lot of different things. So she's got everybody's got stories, I suppose. Like, and we all have yourself. Like everybody's got stories from the past, that they tell people about. So, but Denise especially, she's got just millions of stories.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And we talked about some of the films you've done in the last couple of years, man. Obviously, and you've also been producing music. You're a composer, and
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit about, like, for example, you sent me over the album you did with called The Way Back Forward.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot I sent that to you. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and what? Correct me if I'm wrong, though, Martin. It seems like you really into the and we talked about this last time you were here, the electronic genre.
Yeah.
You're very influenced with that particular type of music.
Totally, yeah.
And yeah, and I was listening to the Way Back Forward. The electronic ostrich and
Yeah. The funky
recliner trip. Some of the titles of your songs, and
yeah.
tell us a little bit about the inspiration for this particular album and what went into it, and
Okay.
what was your
That
intention?
album isn't been released. I haven't released it yet, but it's kind of inspired by library music and lounge music, and kind of I've always been into that music and funk and music like that. I've always loved funk, and as I'm a drummer, I've been a drummer for about 37, 38 years, and for me, I love things like the Meters and Steve Gadd and those great 70s funk drummers, and
Mm,
you know, um,
the
uh,
meters,
yeah, love the Meters. It's
I love
genius.
them.
Dizzy Struts is a classic track, isn't it? But
Yeah.
even things like Questlove, it was on the D'Angelo stuff and all that, and I love all that
Wow.
stuff. But so for me, that funk sound is it's just in my blood, really, and I love African drumming a lot. I love that drumming so much, and I think bringing all that into that album, especially the funk stuff more, and the library music, like lounge music, and that was a big thing I wanted to do. I wanted to make music that wasn't necessarily dark. I always get kind of pinned on that, which is fair enough, because I do make dark stuff. But I wanted to make something that was not particularly dark at all. It was quite uplifting in a way, some of that album, and it's actually quite a nice record, other than being negative. So, and it's I
Yeah.
love the funk sound, and it's someone said my friend said it sounded like the Equalizer, so it's got those sort of 1980s synths and it's got the 1970s funky drums and bass, and yeah, I love that record. It's quite proggy as well. Some of it, like Recliner Trip, is kind of like that. So literally, it's like I hate the word chill out as in music, but I suppose it has got that to a point. It's quite an easy listen in its way, you know, compared to the metal stuff I've done or electronic
Yeah.
extreme stuff, you know. So, but it's not out yet. Yeah, it's not out. The way back forward literally means taking stuff from my past, bringing it into the present, and you know, so the stuff that I first got into music and funk stuff, and bringing that up to date, sort of thing, you know. So
Right, right, and like yeah, like you said, and then with yeah, that was more of a funky, electronic,
yeah,
and
totally.
then yeah, right, and then you have a complete, you know, contrast, if you will, and with your other some of the hard metal that you're into and stuff like that with
Yeah,
the one you sent me. It's called something. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second here. I'll bring it up. Like the witch, right? I the witch,
Sisters Memon. Yeah, that's a new album that we just
Sisters
released.
Memon.
Yeah, Plague Demon, American label out of Philadelphia, released that, and that's our home really for music. What we're on, and Sisters Memon's myself and my friend Natalia Sara, who's Polish, and she lives in Poland, and yeah, we basically make that music, yeah, and then the label puts it out, kind of thing. I make all the music, and she does the vocals. I mix it all together, and it's our second record. And but even that got banned. All the track titles got taken off by all
Wow,
the platforms.
really?
It was too offensive. Yeah, we got accused of loads of stuff. Yeah, from people. But that's platforms are like that. So all the platforms, I think they're all. If you look at it on YouTube, they're all censored track titles. A lot of them on YouTube. Yeah, unfortunately. But
No
the track
way.
titles are on the CD cover. Yeah, because they were just a bit brutal. Yeah, the track titles. So but there you go. That's what, we're quite transgressive, I suppose, in a way. I'm quite a transgressive person, so
Uh-huh.
in my interest. So, um, but there you go. It's just typical, really, of the world we live in these days.
Yeah.
It's what it's like. But yeah, it's an extreme record. It's a great record. It mixes black metal, which is the genre of music what we do. It mixes that with like African drumming and Middle Eastern strings, which is kind of unheard of in black metal, really. To do that.
Wow.
So I wanted to mix all those flavors up, and it worked. It's a great record. Very proud of it.
And you do the drums on that album.
Yeah, electronic drums on it. But I'm playing like guitar and bass on it, but and everything else. But because
Oh,
it's very difficult to get to a studio, because to afford to do all that, would cost you thousands. So for me, it sounds good as it is. We like it kind of quite lo-fi, but it's quite grand. It's got strings on it and stuff like that. So a lot of people don't even realize it's electronic drums. Sometimes people think it's real, and
I thought it
certain
was
people.
real, man.
Yeah, it's weird. We kind of duped everybody in that way, but then you get kind of these, the people that listen really detailed into it, but who say they're electronic drums. I'm like, yeah, and I just admit it straight away. But yeah, her vocals are great. She's only young. She's only 22 years old, but she's got a seriously brutal voice. Amazing, and
Hmm.
she's the complete opposite when you speak to her. She's totally quiet and really lovely. She just loves her cat, and stuff like that. But she just got this, great vocals and stuff. And yeah, we haven't even met. She's actually coming over in May, so I get to meet her for the first time, which is kind of
Wow.
really nice to do that. Yeah, so 2 albums that we've not even met yet. So there you go. It's kind of mad, really, but yeah, it's a good project. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, man, that's those drums on that the black. This is black metal,
Yeah.
sister by Sisters Memon. There's what fast. Those are fast drums, man.
Pretty fast, yeah. I mean, I play that
Yeah.
fast anyway, but I just didn't want to. I have no chance to get to a studio. I've played blast beats for 25 years, longer than that, 30 years. But it's just, it will cost so much money just to go in there and do all that. So it's just a lot quicker for me to just compose, and do it that way. And
Yeah.
that's what we do, sort of thing. But it took a while to put the album together. It's all detailed. It takes a long time to piece it all together. It's like a puzzle, like a jigsaw, and almost. But once it's there, it's there. So we've done that, and yeah, very proud of it. So we're sort of kind of starting a third album, but not really. We just kind of working on bits and pieces, and we done one track, so it's a long way off. Yeah, third album, way off.
Uh-huh. Yeah, man. That's
Yeah.
everything. Like I said, Martin, you're immensely talented, man. Everything that you do just turns to gold, and
Thanks, man.
it's yeah, man. You're a very inspirational figure, an artist, and
Cheers.
because you wear so again, you do so much, man, and it's
Yeah.
just impressive, man. What's
Yeah.
next for you, man? What can you tell us about some upcoming projects, whether music, whether film?
Okay.
Talk about it.
We're halfway through a comedy drama called Lizzie Head at the moment, and we finished that early next year. Um, and then there's a box set of some albums coming out on a German label called Obscure Records of some albums that I've done, some of the more extreme albums from this year, and these albums called the Mamushi Cult, the Kara Sister Sect, Dixon Clan, and the Chuck Organization, which are all African women and African women, kind of obscure, kind of African women who are dealing with crime, who I've kind of researched, and a couple of
Mhm.
people I even know. We won't go into that, but so it's kind of I've kind of dedicated these albums to them and made this music. So, but the music again is very African drum led, with and it's very orchestral, like it's like a Hollywood film in a small album, and there's four of those albums. I'm working on the fifth one, but the label wants to release all those albums because it's like a series, that's all connected together. Yeah, and I'm kind of working on other stuff. I was thinking about doing a hip hop album again and doing something new. I was meant to do another human rights album. I've got 4 tracks into it, but I'm not sure whether to release it as an EP. I might do that, but I want to just do a different hip hop album and stuff like that. But and just work
Uh-huh.
on different projects. There's so many projects. It's just it's unreal. Like the suspended apparition is something I've been working on a lot, which is to do with the paranormal, and that come out, which I've got it here. That come out on cassette on a friend's label.
Oh, it's a cassette.
Yeah, it's cassette. There you go. How strange is that?
Look at
So
that.
in this day and age, professional cassette. Um, so
Wow.
that's kind of it's kind of deals with apparition and kind of very ghostly sort of thing. So I really wanted to do that. So I did that during the heat wave in the summer, and I want to work on another album doing that. I've just started singing again because I've always sang, and I was talking to a couple of friends recently, and we want to kind of, I suppose, jam a bit, get a band together and do something, and so there's stuff like that going on as well, and maybe another film as well after this new thing. I'll start writing again and see what There's stuff there, but it's money. It's just what can I do with the money I've got there, because it's so expensive, and London's as you heard, London's quite difficult at the moment. This country because of bills going up, electric bills, and everything's kind of gone sky high here. So it's very difficult in this country at the moment, unless you're really rich,
Yeah.
So I have to be
Sounds
kind of
familiar.
with money, yeah, at the moment. But I'd just create somehow in some way and get it out, no matter what. So I'll find a way of doing
Yeah.
it and stuff. But yeah, so there's quite a lot of stuff still. There's like 12 albums this year has come out, so it's a lot of records in
God.
1 year. I know it's insanity. It's like an album a month almost. It is. It's insanity. So
Only 12, Martin? Only 12, man.
yeah, 4 albums come out in 1 month. So it's
Gosh.
I know, but these are all stuff that's done before
I
that
see.
I've give to people and they put it out. So, but I've worked constantly for this year, constantly. And done a day job at the same time, So I don't know how I've done it really. I've not had time to read a book or sit down and just relax,
Yeah.
this year. But there you go. It's good.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. The rest of your, everything you got coming out, Martin, and I'm watching from across the pond. I'm watching afar and keeping tabs on you, man. And one day I'd love to work with
Thank
you,
you.
man, as an actor. And who knows,
Great,
hopefully sooner than later. You never know. So
yeah, if you was in London and could get you in a film, be amazing. It'd be great. To have you in a film sort of thing. But if you ever have you been to here before? You've been to London before?
I've never been to Europe,
Yeah.
man. Never been.
Oh, you haven't? Okay. Never say never, man. One
No,
day
no.
you might be here, and we could work something out. It'd be cool. I think it'd be very good.
Oh yeah, man. Are you kidding me? That's again, man. I'm dreaming big, Martin, and
Yeah,
it'll happen one day. It'll happen.
I think
So
it will. You're only young. Don't forget. You're not as old as me, so you're all right. So you
I'm
know you
catching up to you, man.
Yeah, you're way off. You're way off. You're way off.
No doubt, man.
So
Hey, Martin. I want to thank you for coming back on, man, and it's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. Before we head out, please let us know where we can connect with you, connect with your films, your music, all your good stuff, man.
Okay, so the YouTube's so I think it's youtube.com/MW Daniels. That's the YouTube, and I've just started a record label over the last couple of days called Ceremonial Sundown. So it's bandcamp.com/ceremonial sundown, and basically all the music I'm doing now digitally I've put on my own label because it's just it's easier to do it that way. I want everything in the one place, and the physicals other people can release that's absolutely brilliant, but the digital I want to keep on my own label, so I've decided to start that. So Ceremonial Sundown, that's on Bandcamp, and that's the kind of more extreme side of music, like survivalist, the power electronic music, not
Mm.
Sisters Memon because that's on Plague Demon. But the stuff that's very electronically ferocious and dark, ambient, that's all on Ceremonial Sundown, So the stuff you want to play at a party to clear it, basically, that's where you want to go to get that music. Basically,
Okay. I get it. No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. No, good. Ladies and gentlemen, go check out Martin Daniels, MW Daniels. He's got some beautiful, beautiful content out there, films, music, and it's really, really phenomenal content. And he's an artist in the true purest form. And so, Martin, once again, man, I want to thank you for coming on. And yeah, absolutely, man. You're always welcome back here. And
thank you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
I really appreciate that. It's always great to be on it. It's great. Really, really good. So it's just good that other people can hear what I'm doing. The same with everybody else that's on here with you. So it's good for people to just kind of the creativity and everybody else to hear that, and people that are not aware of it normally. People that have not heard of me, and they'll probably go to like the Bandcamp and listen to it and thought, I wish I'd never heard of him now. It's like, but because some of the music's so extreme, but. A lot of people might like the films. People might like the films more than some of the music, so that's cool. But any people want to check it all out. That's great. Good on them.
For sure, yeah. No, it will. The audience will definitely respond out here, and we'll absolutely, man. We'll put this out in due time here in the next couple of days, and it's always a pleasure collaborating with you, my man. Brilliant. So.
Thanks so much, Andy. I really appreciate it. And good luck, USA against Wales, in the World Cup.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's we'll see what happens. And
see what happens. You never know. You might be Wales. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Exactly, man. Exactly. England's always got a good squad, so it's going to be fun to see, fun to watch here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see that. I'll watch that game because you mentioned it. I'll be like, yeah, I'm watching that one then.
Yeah, check it out, man. Check it out. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have Martin Daniels, aka MW Daniels.
Thank you.
Go check him out again. Once again, he's out of the UK, South London, and he is an artist that you can't miss. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in, wherever you're tuning in from. And we are always bringing on the guests that are doing extraordinary things in life to inspire the human spirit. And as you can see, Martin Daniels is no exception to that. Please give my best to your father, Mike. Martin, to tell him I said phenomenal job on October Loner.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You love that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, man.
You've made a man in his 80s very happy. I'll tell him that. He'll be very happy about that.
Thank you so much. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, there you have it. Once again, Martin Daniels, and go follow him on Instagram, Bandcamp, YouTube. He's all over the place. MW Daniels. And for myself, the Profile Pod, please give me a rate and review on Apple Podcasts. Follow me on Instagram. I'm all over the place. If you're looking to get on an interview, if you want to promote something, direct message me on Instagram. So for Martin Daniels, I'm Double A, and always reminding you to take it easy. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.